The silent cry. The quantum distress beacon arrived at Saturn Station, like a whisper in the cosmic void. Commander James Walker stared at the holographic display, watching the alien symbols pulse with an urgency that transcended language barriers. For 17 years, humanity had monitored deep space communications, waiting for signs of intelligent life. They never expected their first contact to be a desperate plea for help. Dr. Sarah Chen, the station's chief xenolinguist, worked frantically to decode the message. Her team of AI assistants and quantum processors churned through countless linguistic patterns, seeking meaning in the alien transmission. The breakthrough came after 36 hours of continuous analysis. "Commander, you need to see this." Sarah's voice carried a weight that made James's stomach tighten. The decoded message appeared before him in stark, simple English. "We are dying. Our children cry for mercy. The darkness consumes us. Please, if anyone hears this, we beg for salvation." The message originated from a star system humanity had designated as HD 7924, approximately 47 light-years from Earth. Along with the plea came coordinates, astronomical data, and something else: cultural transmissions. Music that sounded like crystalline bells mixed with organic harmonies. Visual art that defied human comprehension yet stirred deep emotional responses. Mathematical proofs that elegantly solved problems Earth's greatest minds had struggled with for decades. The Verthani, as they called themselves, were not just another alien species. They were artists, philosophers, and scientists who had achieved a level of cultural sophistication that left humanity's diplomatic court speechless. Their cities floated in the clouds of their gas giant homeworld, constructed from living crystal that sang in the solar winds. They had no weapons, no military traditions, no concept of organized violence. Admiral Helena Morrison, head of Earth's United Colonial Defense Force, reviewed the tactical data with growing concern. "They're completely defenseless," she said during the emergency session of the United Colonial Council. "Their entire civilization is based on harmony, cooperation, and artistic expression. They've never needed weapons because they've never encountered a hostile species. Until now. The Skaloth Empire had found them first. The tactical recordings showed massive dreadnoughts systematically destroying Verthani cloud cities. Beings made of living metal and corrupted energy swept through peaceful settlements, harvesting resources and enslaving populations. The Verthani's attempts at communication were met with particle beam fire. Their songs of peace were answered with the screech of plasma weapons. President Chen Wei of the United Earth Government faced the most difficult decision in human history. The council chamber buzzed with heated debate. Some argued for non-interference, citing humanity's own violent past and the dangers of interstellar conflict. Others demanded immediate action, pointing to the moral imperative of protecting innocent life. Senator Maria Vasquez from the Mars colony stood, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We've spent centuries asking ourselves if we're alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. We've found a species that represents everything we aspire to be: peaceful, creative, enlightened. If we let them die, what does that say about us?" The quantum communication channels crackled with updates from deep space monitoring stations. The Skaloth advance was methodical, ruthless. Entire Verthani populations were being processed, a clinical term that masked unimaginable horror. Children were separated from parents. Artists were forced into labor camps. The floating cities, marvels of bioengineering and aesthetic beauty, were stripped for raw materials. Dr. Mikhail Petrov, Earth's leading expert on evolutionary psychology, presented his analysis. The Verthani evolved in an environment without predators. Their entire neural structure is optimized for creativity and cooperation. They literally cannot comprehend violence as a solution. It's not just that they won't fight back. They can't. The debate raged for 12 hours. Then came the transmission that changed everything. A young Verthani child, barely equivalent to a human 10-year-old, managed to send a personal message through the quantum network. Her crystalline form flickered on the holoscreens, her voice a melody even in translation. "My name is Lyra. My parents created the stars above our city. They taught me that the universe sings with infinite possibilities. The dark ones are coming. They don't understand our songs. They'd break everything beautiful. I'm scared. Is anyone listening? Does anyone care?" Admiral Morrison stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiant, looking at the star map that showed the path to HD 7924. Behind her, similar scenes played out on hundreds of ships. Crews that had never seen combat-checked weapons they'd only used in simulations. Engineers' fine-tuned engines pushed beyond their design limits. Everyone understood what they were heading toward. The final transmission from Earth came from President Chenhui himself. His words echoed through every ship, every station, every human heart listening across the solar system. "We go not as conquerors, but as protectors, not for glory, but for justice." The Vertheni asked the universe for help. Humanity answers. To the Skilloth Empire, our message is simple. You awaken something you don't understand. You hurt those who couldn't defend themselves. Now you face those who can. This is not a police action. This is not a limited engagement. This is total war. The hyperspace engines engage. Humanity went to war not for resources, territory, or ideology. For the first time in their violent history, humans fought purely to save innocents they'd never met, to preserve beauty they'd barely glimpsed, to answer a cry for help echoing across the stars. The Skilloth Empire had made a fatal error. They thought the galaxy was divided between predators and prey. They were about to discover a third category, protectors. And protectors, when pushed too far, become something far more terrifying than any predator. As the human fleet jumped into hyperspace, a final message pulsed through the quantum networks to the besieged Vertheni. "Hold on. We're coming. Humanity stands with you." The silent cry had been heard. The answer was thunder. The awakening storm. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the HD 7924 system like a thunderclap in the void. Admiral Morrison's tactical display lit up with enemy contacts. 17 Skilloth dreadnoughts, 43 cruisers, and hundreds of smaller craft forming a blockade around the Vertheni homeworld. The odds were overwhelming. The humans were outnumbered 3-1. Captain Yuki Tanaka of the destroyer Resilient smiled grimly. They've never fought humans before. Numbers won't save them. The Skilloth commander, Warsinger Krell, observed the human arrival with contempt. These newcomers appeared primitive compared to the Empire's sleek vessels. Their ships were industrial, utilitarian, lacking the elegant lethality of proper warships. Krell ordered a standard intimidation broadcast. "Unknown vessels, you enter Skilloth territory. Withdraw or be consumed." Admiral Morrison's response was brief. "We are humanity. We've come for the Vertheni. Stand down or be destroyed." The Skilloth laughed, a sound like grinding metal. They had conquered 17 species, each more advanced than these newcomers appeared. Krell ordered the traditional opening barrage, energy weapons designed to cripple enemy shields in the first salvo. Nothing happened as expected. The human ships didn't rely on energy shields. Instead, they deployed clouds of microscopic drones that formed adaptive armor layers. The Skilloth weapons fire hit the drone clouds and dissipated, the energy absorbed and redirected. Worse, the drones were learning, adapting to the Skilloth weapon frequencies in real time. "Impossible," Krell snarled. "Their technology is primitive." His tactical officer's response chilled him. "Sir, each human ship is running different defensive configurations. They're not following standard patterns. It's like fighting 100 different species at once." This was humanity's first advantage, diversity. While the Skilloth had perfected their technology over millennia, humanity had developed thousands of different approaches to the same problems. Each human colony had evolved its own solutions. Earth focused on adaptive systems. Mars specialized in stealth technology. The asteroid miners had perfected kinetic weapons. The Jupiter stations excelled at electronic warfare. Commander Jake Martins of the Asteroid Miners Coalition demonstrated this perfectly. His converted mining vessel, Rockbreaker, accelerated toward the Skilloth lines. The enemy targeted him with precision weapons designed to vaporize small craft. Jake laughed and activated his specialty, a massive mining laser designed to carve through asteroids. The beam carved through 3 Skilloth cruisers like butter. Mining tools, it turned out, made excellent weapons when properly motivated. Meanwhile, Dr. Sarah Okafor aboard the science vessel Curiosity deployed humanity's second advantage, adaptability. Her team had spent the 3-week journey analyzing every piece of Skilloth technology they could observe. Now she broadcast their findings to the entire fleet. Their shield frequency modulates on a predictable pattern. Quantum signature suggests crystalline matrix base. Recommend alternating particle plasma burst pattern theta 7. Within seconds, every human weapon recalibrated. The next salvo tore through Skilloth shields like tissue paper. The Empire's technological advantage evaporated in moments. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Brown led the Marine assault teams preparing for boarding actions. His troops were an eclectic mix: former special forces, asteroid miners, zeroed construction workers, even a few reformed pirates. What they shared was humanity's third advantage: creativity in violence. Remember, Brown addressed his teams, we're not trying to capture their ships. We're sending a message. Make it loud. The first boarding action shocked both sides. The Skilloth expected disciplined formations, predictable tactics. Instead, human Marines used mining charges to breach hulls at unexpected points. They deployed construction foam to seal corridors, used maintenance robots as weapons, turned the enemy's own systems against them. Corporal Anna Petrova, a former Luna City engineer, found herself in a Skilloth command center. Instead of a firefight, she plugged her tablet into their system and uploaded 20,000 years of human music directly into their battle computers. The cacophony of everything from Beethoven to death metal caused system-wide crashes. You want to hurt the artists? She laughed over comms. Here's what art sounds like when it's angry. Above the main battle, Wing Commander Rashid Al-Zaidi led humanity's fighter squadrons in maneuvers that defied physics. The Skilloth fighters followed rigid formations, perfect geometric patterns that had dominated space combat for generations. Human pilots flew like madmen, each following their own instincts. Break and attack. Rashid ordered. Remember your training. There is no training. Trust your gut. The dogfights were chaos incarnate. Human pilots pulled maneuvers that should have torn their craft apart, relying on reinforced frames and sheer determination. They rammed enemy fighters, used their own ships as weapons, demonstrated why humanity's approach to warfare was fundamentally different. On the Vertheni homeworld, Elder Harmonist Vela watched the battle through ancient observation crystals. The peaceful species had never witnessed violence on this scale, yet something stirred in Vela's consciousness. Not fear, but wonder. The humans fight like a symphony, Vela whispered, each note different, yet forming a harmony of purpose. The Vertheni began to sing, not songs of fear, but of hope. Their crystal cities resonated with frequencies that somehow reached the human fleet, providing tactical data through pure musical mathematics. The two species, so different in nature, found an impossible synchronization. Admiral Morrison felt the tide turning, but knew the battle was far from over. The Skilloth main dreadnought, Extinction's Edge, began charging its primary weapon, a planet killer designed to crack worlds. All ships, Morrison commanded, execute Crazy Ivan Protocol. The human fleet did something that defied all conventional warfare. They accelerated directly toward the enemy. No evasive maneuvers, no tactical retreats. Pure, aggressive advancement. War singer Krell watched in disbelief. They're insane. No species charges a superior force. His science officer's tentacles trembled. Sir, their approach is causing our targeting systems to continuously recalculate. The processing overload is. The human fleet reached point-blank range. At distances where energy weapons became irrelevant, where only sheer determination mattered, humanity unleashed everything. Mining charges, construction explosives, even civilian emergency beacons overloaded to become EMP weapons. The extinction's edge, pride of the Skilloth fleet, found itself swarmed by converted cargo haulers ramming its hull. Captain Maria Santos of the freighter Last Hope broadcasted on all frequencies as she set collision course. This is for the children who cried for help. Her ship, loaded with mining explosives, punched through the dreadnought's armor. The explosion chain reacted through the Skilloth vessel's power core. As the enemy flagship died, Admiral Morrison opened communications to the remaining Skilloth forces. You have two choices: retreat now, never return, and spread word of what happened here, or stay and join your flagship. The Skilloth had conquered through fear for millennia. Now, for the first time, they felt it themselves. The human fleet wasn't just winning. It was demonstrating a kind of warfare the Empire couldn't comprehend. Adaptive, creative, utterly unpredictable. Warsinger Krell, evacuating in an escape pod, sent a final message to his empire. The humans are not a species. They are a force of nature. Avoid their space. They protect the weak with the fury of stars. The human fleet reached point-blank range. At distances where energy weapons became irrelevant, where only sheer determination mattered, humanity unleashed everything. Mining charges, construction explosives, even civilian emergency beacons overloaded to become EMP weapons. The extinction's edge, pride of the Skilloth fleet, found itself swarmed by converted cargo haulers ramming its hull. Captain Maria Santos of the freighter Last Hope broadcasted on all frequencies as she set collision course. This is for the children who cried for help. Her ship, loaded with mining explosives, punched through the dreadnought's armor. The explosion chain reacted through the Skilloth vessel's power core. As the enemy flagship died, Admiral Morrison opened communications to the remaining Skilloth forces. You have two choices: retreat now, never return, and spread word of what happened here, or stay and join your flagship. The Skilloth had conquered through fear for millennia. Now, for the first time, they felt it themselves. The human fleet wasn't just winning. It was demonstrating a kind of warfare the Empire couldn't comprehend. Adaptive, creative, utterly unpredictable. Warsinger Krell, evacuating in an escape pod, sent a final message to his empire. The humans are not a species. They are a force of nature. Avoid their space. They protect the weak with the fury of stars. The liberation of the Vertheni homeworld took 17 hours. The aftermath took months. Human medical teams worked alongside Vertheni healers, combining earth medicine with crystalline harmonics. Engineers merged human construction techniques with Vertheni living architecture, rebuilding the destroyed cities stronger than before. Most significantly, humanity's linguists and the Vertheni song speakers developed a new form of communication, part language, part music, part quantum mathematics. It became the foundation for an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Ambassador Chen Lai, Earth's first representative to the Vertheni, stood in the rebuilt capital city. The crystal spires now incorporated human alloys, creating structures that sang with new harmonies. Vertheni children played with human children, their laughter indistinguishable. You gave us more than salvation, Elder Vela told the ambassador. You showed us that strength and beauty can coexist, that protection and creation are two faces of the same truth. The galaxy took notice. Species that had hidden from the Skilloth began reaching out to humanity. The Zenteri Collective, master engineers who had survived by staying invisible, offered their technology. The Quelum Wanderers, nomads who had fled Skilloth expansion, shared star maps of safe routes. Within a solar year, humanity found itself at the center of a new alliance, not through conquest, but through protection. The United Terran-Vertheni Defense Pact became a beacon for peaceful species seeking security. The Skilloth Empire, reduced and chastened, sent formal peace overtures. Their message was simple. We understand now. The galaxy has guardians. On Earth, President Chen Wei addressed the United Nations in a speech broadcast across human space. We answered a cry for help and discovered our purpose among the stars. Not as conquerors, not as isolationists, but as protectors. When the innocent called, humanity answered with total war. Not for conquest, but for compassion. In the Verthani Crystal Gardens, human veterans gathered with their alien allies. Former enemies shared stories, compared scars, found common ground in the aftermath of conflict. Captain Tanaka sat with a young Verthani artist, watching her create like sculptures. Your people fight like artists, the Verthani said. Every battle unique, every solution creative. Tanaka smiled. And your people showed us what we're fighting for. Beauty worth preserving. The war had lasted less than a month. Its impact would last generations. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as another empire seeking dominion, but as something rarer. Protectors who fought only when necessary, with a fury that made the stars themselves take notice. In deep space, monitoring stations detected new signals. More cries for help, more species threatened by various dangers. Each time, the response was the same. Human fleets mobilized, not with eagerness for battle, but with determination to protect. The message spread throughout the galaxy. In their moment of desperate need, call for humanity. Their answer would be total war, waged not for conquest, but for compassion. Not for glory, but for those who couldn't defend themselves. The Verthani's original distress call had awakened something fundamental in human nature. Not the warrior seeking battle, but the guardian standing watch. The galaxy's newest protectors had arrived, and they would not stand idle while innocents suffered. As the first joint human-Verthani exploration fleet prepared to launch, seeking new civilizations to befriend and protect, Admiral Morrison stood with Elder Vela on the observation deck. Your people changed us, Morrison said, showed us what we could be. Vela's crystalline form hummed with harmonic agreement. And your people showed us that sometimes the greatest act of creation is preservation, that the highest form of art is the protection of beauty itself. Together, they watched the stars, knowing that somewhere among them, someone might need help. And when that call came, humanity would answer. The galaxy had gained more than new protectors. It had gained hope. Hope that when darkness threatened, light would answer. That when silence fell, thunder would follow. The war was over. The watch had just begun.